How did you wind up on TV the first time?
You ever seen Cops?
Oh, yeah.
I'm just kidding.
You were the guy on the end of the bed with the T-shirt on, right? Who
The
looked
guy,
up
yeah,
and didn't seem surprised that the cops were in your bedroom?
exactly. And then I gave him a whole big story. So I was. It's funny because there was a guy. There's a hot rod muffler company called Flowmaster, and they're in our town here in Santa Rosa.
Oh, really? I got Flowmaster 48s on my '57 Chevy.
Then you know it. You know it. So there was a guy named there's a guy that used to come in and come to my restaurant all the time, and he would say to me all the time, and he's Australian guy, he'd say, "You really need you need to be on television." And we'd laugh about it. And I would make my commercial for my restaurant on the local cable network because I would trade the cable TV owner guy for dinners in the restaurant. And it's a small little community, and that was it. My aunts always used to tell me, my aunts at family reunions would tell me, "Oh, you got to be on TV. You're so funny." That went on and on and on. And I never took it seriously. All I wanted to be was a cook. All I wanted to do was own restaurants. And a couple of my buddies, there was a show on the Food Network called the Food Network Star, next Food Network Star. And I didn't watch TV. I'm really not a big TV guy. And not because I don't think TV is great. It's just I work so much that when I come home, I'm typically, going to sleep. And they all told me about this show called the Food Network Star. And I never watched it. I didn't even see it. I didn't even know what the Food Network was. I said, who watches a show all about? I said, now, the Galloping Gourmet and Julia Childs, I'll watch that. But that was PBS back when I was a kid. Well, long story short, they talked me into signing up to send in the video to this show, and they pick it, and I go on the show. And I got there the day we started to do the show, and I look at everybody; they're all buttoned up in their chef coats, and I'm standing there in a cutoff T-shirt and a leather jacket, and I'm like, "This ain't going to go well." Well, I ended up winning, and the rest was kind of history.
Yeah, well, you got awarded your own series, which was Guy's Big Bite, right?
Right, that was the first one. And then they gave me another show called "Gotta Get It," and I shot the pilot for it. I didn't know anything about TV. I mean, I became a student of TV real fast. Now I produce 9 shows and host 4 of them. And now I went. I mean, I think just kind of like you do. You take what you do, and then if you're going to immerse yourself into it, you got to know the 360. So now I'm a whole different place. But back then, I went and did this show called "Gotta Get It," and I shot the pilot for it, and I did my part, and it got picked up for 13 episodes. And they called. They said, "Congratulations, you got a primetime show. It's called Gotta Get It." I'm like, "Oh, hey, I don't want to do that show." Like, what? I'm like, "No, I did the pilot, but I didn't know that meant it's had to go to a show. Yeah, I can't do that show." Like, what do you mean you can't do the show? Well, it went through about 6 levels of people through the Food Network and this production company. Everybody just read me the riot act of me wasting everybody's time. I said, I just got to be real. And finally, to the president of the network, I said, let me just share something with you. I said, I'm 35 years old. I own 4 restaurants. I got 2 kids. I said, anything that I'm going to apply my time and energy to, I got to really believe in. And I don't believe in the show. And Brooke Johnson was our president. And she said, "You're turning down. Why did you come to the network? Why did you?" I said, "I want to see what it was like." I said, "I'll do another show. I just won't do this one." That was the thing. And the power in the no in the industry.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
you got to be willing, you got to stand on the ground. That could have been, live by the sword, die by the sword. And I wasn't trying to be an egomaniac or anything. It just was a show about gadgets in the kitchen. I'm not a gadget chef. I don't do that stuff. I'm a knife and cutting board and saute pan guy. And I didn't need an avocado peeler.
Yeah.
And that 6 months was the longest 6 months of sitting around. And they called me one day and they said, "Okay, we got another show. What would you think about a show that went around and checked out mom and pop restaurants in the country?" And I said, "That's my kind of show.
Yeah.
Highlighting my brothers and sisters." They said, "Okay, it's called Drivers, Diners, Dive-Ins, and Divers." I couldn't say the name for the longest time. That's why we call it Triple D all the time.
Yeah.
I said, "What's it called? Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives?" That's my kind of thing. And that's how it got started.
Yeah, well, that's been on for how long now? That started in '06.
2 decades, I think.
Yeah.
It feels like 10 decades. No,
Yeah.
it has been. We're almost getting ready for it's 3 locations per episode, and we're just getting ready to hit our 500th episode. So we've
Wow.
been doing it a while, and it's amazing what it does. We call it the restaurant lottery. And it's not me. I tell people all the time, please do not. I'm just the portal. I'm just the guy that gets you there. These places are there. These mom and pop joints are there. They're these amazing places around our country. We're the greatest country in the world. Just get off of the beaten path that you see all the chain restaurants on with all their big signs. Go to the street 2 rows over, and the one that's got the plywood sign, where there's 25 cars in front of. Go check that joint out.
Yeah. So what happens when a place gets picked for Triple D and they get on and get highlighted? What's the impact?
It really has to do with 3 factors. It has to do with how's the food, how's the story, and how's the character.
Yeah.
Sometimes the character's amazing, the food's simple, the story's good. Every 5, there'll be somebody that hits the trifecta where just each one of them is just boom, boom, boom out of the park. People love to tell me all the time, I know when you like something and when you hate something, when you love something. I said, well, you'll never see anything that I hate on the show. I'm not going to sell you a bag of beans. I won't lie to you. I tell you just the way it is. I'm not a food critic. I'm just a cook. And I'm just a guy that's tasting it and telling you what goes out of my mind is what comes out of my mouth. I'm not playing a game with you. But we've had in the hundreds of places that have opened multiple locations, franchised. Really? Oh, I can share stories with you about the stories of people just writing. So, we were at our last paycheck. We had mortgaged our home. Our kids weren't going to go to college. The list goes on and on and on. And like, you saved us. And I'm like, you know what? I really appreciate you. I didn't save you. You were already doing what you're doing. All I do is shine the light on you. And you do that with so many people's lives and careers and family settings and so forth.
Sure.
These things exist. I just happen to be the guy that gets a chance to show it to you. And it's just overwhelming. But I love, people ask me, are you still happy doing the show? I said, no, don't get me wrong. I'm tired. 15 years on the road shooting a show is a long time. But knowing what it does for my brothers and sisters in the business, and I know how hard it is in the business, having had my own, individual restaurants, it's kind of like I can't turn it off. It's too important to the well-being.
Yeah, because it's hard to rise above the noise, and when one of them really pops, it really changes their lives.
I'm telling you, the stories are just overwhelming. And I'll go back and I'll see these people and they'll tell me where their lives have gone. We do a new show, not a new show. It's been going on for about 5 or 6 years now, called Triple D Nation. And where we go back to the restaurants and visit them, and they tell us the stories about how after the show aired, what happened. And even when a restaurant just doubles itself, it's not exactly double the income. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. But wow, what an opportunity that people take it. And I tell them all the time, when I leave here, please make sure that your game is tight. Because when the Triple D fans show up, they will show up like it's free concert tickets. They are showing up for the party, and you need to be ready for them. And most of these folks really handle it right. And amen. I'm so happy for them.